She is not clicking on anything. I was irritated, not just as a police officer, but as a human being.
Allow me to speak to the customer.
No, you're not going to speak with the customer anymore.
Just moments away from sending $40,000 to a scammer in another country.
Welcome back, people. David Epstein of the Post Pollock Law Firm, here today to talk about the law. The law we will talk about today is elder abuse. Well, let's see the video, and then you'll see what I'm talking about.
A police officer in North Texas saved an elderly woman who was just moments away from sending $40,000 to a scammer in another country. Police in White Settlement say that the alleged scammer was posing as a Chase Bank security employee. Fox's Peyton Yeager has that story.
She is not clicking on anything. I was irritated, not just as a police officer, but as a human being.
At that point, she had already put in $23,900.
She says the woman still had wads of $100 bills in her purse, so she called 911.
The people on the phone sound like foreigners, and they have her like FaceTiming to make sure that she's putting the money in the machine.
Jordan waits for Sergeant Stewart to arrive on scene.
Hey, ma'am.
Yes.
Can I talk to you for a second?
Please, I have the bank on the phone.
Okay, let me talk to who you're talking to on the bank.
I'm in danger.
Okay, no, you're not, ma'am.
This is Chase Bank.
Let me talk to them.
The male voice on the other end continues to say he's a Chase Bank security team member.
Allow me to speak to the customer.
No, you're not going to speak with the customer anymore. You have already spoken to the customer enough. You never hit the submit button, or he kept saying hit the I'm done button, because if she'd done that, that money would have been gone.
Sergeant Stewart says he still doesn't know where the man on the phone lives. There's just no way to track it or really conduct any investigation. He's just glad that the woman didn't click the submit button, because then that money would be gone for good.
There's a lot to unpack here, but you saw what happened. And by the way, I commended the officer. Also, my kudos to the store clerk, who was smart enough to say something's wrong here. Let's help this woman out. There are some common types of scams. One of the cases I handled, there was a drop box for checks somewhere in New Jersey. It was picked up by somebody who was apparently paid, but it looked like they were duped into thinking they were just, being hired to run errands for somebody. They then deposit the check in a mail. It goes to, I believe it was Jamaica. By the time it ended up, the FBI, when they were contacted, said that as best they could tell, I think it ended in Belarus. But by that point, the money's gone, and good luck going and finding it or getting it from the people who took it from you. I also handled a case where an elderly man handed away $50,000, $60,000 of his hard-earned money over his lifetime on one of these lottery scams. There's also, there have been, I would call them home invasions, but they're prolonged home invasions. For example, somebody shows up and says, somebody hired me as a maid service for you. And they come in and they get the confidence of the person and they befriend them. And the next thing you know, half the family's moving in. Then before you know it, that elderly person is signing over the deed to their house. I actually handled a case where that happened. So the question people always ask is, well, first of all, what's the law? Well, it's obviously against the law to commit any kind of fraud. Many states and the federal government have tried to pass laws that specifically target this type of scam and make it a separate crime and have it enhanced and things like that. But there have been fraud criminal statutes on the books for as long as we've been around. The question becomes, what can you do to stop it? If you know of somebody who lives nearby, a few doors away, who's elderly and on their own, what you can do is be there. And I'm not saying you have to go over there every 5 minutes, but you want to just keep in touch and find out what's going on. The other thing you can do is when you see the evidence of a scam, call the police. Go to law enforcement immediately. That is what this wise woman in the store did. And she saved that poor elderly woman $23,000. She was desperate to get that money in. I mean, that's what happens. They become driven, like, no, I have to put this money in. No, you can't stop me. And what ends up happening is they go forward, and then the person comes back for more. And before you know it, their life savings are wiped out. You want to be able, if you can, to try to prevent this from happening as best as you can before it happens, because here's the problem after it happens. You heard on that report, they said they don't know where the scam artists are. More often than not, the scam artists are in far-off countries, China, Southeast Asia, Belarus, the Middle East, Nigeria. There are so many places where scam artists are it's almost like a cottage industry for some groups of people. Some people within certain countries just form these clusters and they start scamming people. Finding them, then the question is, can you get them extradited, depending on what the extradition treaties are? That's one thing. Proving that they did it is another. It's also difficult to track the money. The money is, once it goes out, it goes through the circuitous route. So if you can stop these things before they happen, well, God bless you. Now, if any type of elder abuse, whether it's scams or anything, is detected, if you need help, Google elder abuse in your area, New Jersey, California. You will find all sorts of support websites. Hope this was helpful. Look forward to seeing you back. Again, hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Dave Epstein from Post Pollock signing off. Bye.